Alright, welcome everybody. Today we're going to move the license plate. Now, as you can see, I have a very large spare tire, and I've relocated it from the inside to the outside because it's big. What I want to do is I want to move it over to the side. As you can see, it's being blocked. I have this kind of ghetto set up here on the back of the license plate, so I'm not illegal. I'm going to use this aluminum bar to extend it over. There's a couple things we'll have to consider. There's a bend that we'll have to get over, and then cutting it to length, drilling the holes in the right spot. So pretty easy, pretty straightforward, 15-20 minutes. Let's get started. As you know, just an average guy. We just have an average set of skills with average tools. I don't even have a dedicated jigsaw. I bought this a long time ago so that I didn't have to have dedicated tools. I could just use one. Now, is it the best one that's out there? Absolutely not. Is it the best one for apartment living, which, as you know, I do? Yeah, it's pretty darn good. So I swapped out the drill bit for the jigsaw bit. It's actually a whole system. It goes in and out and just locks into place and starts to go. Now, I've got the line marked on here, so I'm just gonna push it over to the edge of my little makeshift table and give it a cut. So we've got it to length, and now I just need to, on these marks here, I just need to bend it. So these are the tools that I have at hand, and they're not very complicated. They're also not very good for doing something like this. Now, if you care about the finish, you wouldn't even want to try this. However, due to the thickness, and I'll zoom that in a little bit so you can see the thickness, it's not thin. And the reason why I got thick is because it's aluminum, so which means it's a little bendy to begin with. But it's also lighter, and it was a lot cheaper than getting a steel counterpart. It's also a lot easier to work with because I was able to make that cut no problem. Now, the problem is bending it, because it is two small bends in rather quick succession. And if you look right here, you can actually see where I've attempted it, and it really didn't work. So in this case, what we're going to need a vise and leverage. So the leverage can either come in the form of a bar on the end of it, or just carefully applied pressure at the bending point. It doesn't need a lot of pressure because it's aluminum, so it'll bend fairly easily once it goes, and you don't want to bend it too much because it can snap or just make a weak point in it. It just needs to bend out just a little bit. I got it bent, as you can see right here. Not much of a bend, but it's just enough to handle the bend in the door, or sorry, in the rear lift gate. So got that bent, got that taken care of. Now, fortunately, license plates are all spaced the same, at least in the United States they are, 7 inches on center. So I'm gonna go in 2 inches from the end, and then 9 inches. That's gonna be where my holes are. So I start with a small hole because it's a lot easier to guide a small drill bit than use a large one. Got those holes enlarged now, but classic problem, square peg, round hole. I actually bought these at the hardware store. They're designed to hold the license plate. You don't have to do this, but the reason why I'm doing it is because it's gonna actually have that plastic on the back. So when this is banging back up against the back of the metal, on the sheet metal of my lift gate, it won't scratch it because you won't have a sharp metal screw that's gonna be banging up against it. You'll have the plastic, that back plastic that's banging up against it. So I need to use a Dremel. I'm just going to use a Dremel and square this hole up. It's the right size, I just need to make it square. Here they are, squared out. Had a little bit of an issue with the Dremel on the backside there, but it kept trying to walk out, but it doesn't really matter because this is going to get sanded as a whole and then painted in the end so that it matches the black for the Jeep. So you could also have it anodized if you want, but this is something that I'm doing so that my license plate is off to the side. It's not something that I'm necessarily going to have on there permanently. It's just a good solution for now, and this cost me $5. These parts cost me $1.50. So with all that said, just push them in and they are ready for the bolts. Now the only thing that's left is on this side to actually put the 2 holes in for the license plate. Again, 7 inches on center, and I'll do it probably about maybe ½ an inch to an inch from the edge, and then it's ready to mount. There it is. Got the last 2 holes drilled on there, and ready for a check to see whether or not it fits. Well, the old adage of measure twice, cut once has come true. I should have moved it over 2 inches. I only did it 1, so it's not that big of a deal. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut it off here, so then there's only that 1 extra hole. But for testing, I will just, I've got these 2 holes and I'll mount it up. I did a test fit, and those 2, the bend doesn't line up where it should, and the end of the license plate sticks over the tail light. So move it over 1 inch, good to go. Okay, there we have it. As you can see, there's that hole, extra hole I was talking about, and I just cut it off on the other side. Doesn't impact the performance at all. Best part is, doesn't impact the tail light either. Let's see whether or not the spare tire is in the way. Okay, looks good. You can still see the license plate, the tire is up, and for good measure, let's put on a LED solar rechargeable license plate light. Got it for $7 online. At some point, if I want, I could run the wires all the way over and hardwire it, but right now, this is a great solution. Let's talk about cost. Now, this really isn't that expensive of a project, but it's not free either. There are a few pieces of material here. First of all, we have the aluminum bar. Actually, I got all of this stuff at Lowe's. The aluminum bar was $6.50. The screw kit that I got for the license plate was $1.50. Now, if you wanted to, you could just use regular old bolts and probably do that for $1. And of course, the optional third part that I had was the solar powered rechargeable LED light. I got that online for $6.70. Now, like I said, it's not free, so the total cost is $14.70. So we're under $15 here. It's actually pretty reasonable to be able to do that. Now, there's a kit that you can buy online to do the exact same thing with all the same parts, and it costs $60 to do the same thing. You save over $45 by doing it this way. To me, that's a no-brainer. I'll do that every day. And the time cost for this, 15 to 20 minutes. Now, that's really not that long of a time. And just remember, if I can do it, so can you. Thanks for watching, everyone.